Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, June 30th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-gyan. Before we begin, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea reported 794 new COVID-19 cases Wednesday, the highest in 68 days. This comes as the nation prepares to ease social distancing measures from tomorrow. South Korea's industrial output bounced back in May, but retail sales fell by most in 10 months in the latest sign that the recovery of private spending remains weak amid the pandemic. And North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has lashed out at senior officials for neglecting their duties in anti-epidemic efforts, calling it a grave incident that poses huge risk to the safety of the regime. We begin with the COVID-19 situation in South Korea, as the nation reported a whopping 794 new COVID-19 cases Wednesday, the highest in more than 2 months. Authorities are expressing concerns as the nation gets ready to implement new eased distancing measures beginning Friday. These include extending operating hours for restaurants and increasing the cap for public gatherings to 6 in the capital area. Of Wednesday's cases, all but 35 were locally transmitted. One more person has died, bringing the death toll to 2,018. Meanwhile, more than 4.9 million people have been fully vaccinated in the country. Inching closer to a return to pre-pandemic routines, travelers from South Korea who have been fully vaccinated will be able to go on quarantine-free package tours to Saipan as soon as late July. Kim Hyo-sun has more.
Saipan will become South Korea's first travel bubble destination, allowing quarantine-free package tours for those who are fully vaccinated. This comes as Seoul's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport has agreed to sign an agreement to form a travel bubble with the Northern Mariana Islands. Quarantine-free tourism will be available for those who have been administered with COVID-19 vaccines developed by Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, or Janssen after 2 weeks have passed since the final shot. Only group tours booked via travel agencies will be allowed. Travelers will be required to get tested and submit proof of a negative COVID-19 test within 72 hours of departure, as well as a vaccination certificate issued by the country's health authorities. Upon arrival in Saipan, they will be tested for COVID-19 again, moved to a designated hotel in a designated bus, and they will be free to travel after testing negative. If a traveler is confirmed to have contracted COVID-19 during the course of the trip, he or she will receive free treatment at an isolated facility. Around 2/3 of Saipan's population has been fully vaccinated. If the COVID-19 situation worsens, authorities have an emergency circuit breaker mechanism to temporarily close the bubble. They expect quarantine-free tourism can start as early as late July.
While only Jeju Air flies to Saipan now, Asiana and Tiway Airlines are scheduled to resume flights from late July, so we see that as the time for international travel.
The South Korean government is also mulling similar deals with Guam and Singapore. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
The South Korean government is gearing up to offer various incentives to people who get vaccinated against COVID-19. The first step is to provide proof of getting vaccinated, and from Thursday, people can do this using certificates, either a hard copy, an e-copy, or sticker format. Chang Tae-han reports.
Starting from July, people who have received the COVID-19 vaccine in South Korea can get a certificate to prove so. There are 3 types: a paper certificate, an online version, and a vaccination sticker. This comes ahead of the nation's new social distancing scheme due to take effect on July 1st, which exempts vaccine recipients from gathering and capacity restrictions. The paper and online versions of the certificate will have information about the type of vaccine, when and where the person received it, and how many shots they have had. The paper version can be downloaded via the government's website or obtained in person at a local medical facility. English online certificates will also be offered next month, and from September, 14 more languages, including Chinese and Spanish, will be added. The vaccination stickers can be stuck to ID cards or driver's licenses in case proof of vaccination is needed. Authorities say that it will be a criminal offense to forge any of the certificates or use someone else's. In the meantime, because adverse reactions like heart inflammation have been reported abroad after receiving mRNA vaccines, South Korean health authorities on Monday distributed guidelines to medical staff. And during a briefing on Tuesday, urged vaccine recipients to seek medical attention if certain symptoms begin to show.
If you experience chest pains, pressure, discomfort, shortness of breath, pain when breathing, or if your heart is pounding or beating fast after getting a COVID-19 vaccine, visit a medical facility quickly.
Authorities added that although there have been cases reported overseas of adverse reactions linked to mRNA vaccines, South Korea will proceed with administering them as doing so does more good than harm. Chang Tae-hyun, Arirang News.
Moderna says its COVID-19 vaccine is also effective against the Delta variant that has sparked a global resurgence in cases. Studies also show Russia's Sputnik V vaccine is effective as well. Lee Seung-jae tells us more.
With the Delta variant ravaging many parts of the world, vaccine makers have been studying their vaccine's respective effectiveness against the highly transmissible strain. U.S. drug maker Moderna on Tuesday released its study indicating that its vaccine showed a modest decrease in response compared to the original strain. The study was conducted on blood serum from 8 participants 1 week after they received their second dose. The results showed an antibody response against all variants, including Delta. Data also showed the vaccine was far more effective in producing antibodies against the Delta variant than against the Beta variant, first identified in South Africa. While the study did not directly measure vaccine effectiveness, the neutralizing antibody levels are said to be high enough to prevent disease. The study added the mRNA vaccine generates a surplus of antibodies against the original strain. Moderna's study comes as the company earlier published research showing its vaccine produced neutralizing antibodies against the Alpha, Beta, and Gamma variants. A recent study by Moscow's Gamaleya Institute, which developed the Sputnik V vaccine, showed the vaccine was highly effective against the Delta variant. Sputnik V was shown to be 90% effective against the Delta variant, compared to the 92% efficacy against the original strain. The Delta variant, first identified in India, has now been reported in at least 92 countries and is expected to become the dominant variant worldwide. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
South Korea's National Assembly has passed a law that allows extra days off for public holidays that fall on weekends. And as a result, this year, most people will have weekends off to make up for National Liberation Day as well as Christmas Day, among others. Lee Kyung-eun has the story.
People in South Korea will now get extra weekdays off work to make up for lost holidays. South Korean lawmakers, led by the ruling Democratic Party, on Tuesday decided to designate alternative days off for public holidays that fall on weekends.
Of the 206 seats present, I declare the alternative holiday bill has been passed, with 152 in favor, 18 against, and 36 abstentions.
The law will take effect immediately, and a total of 4 substitute holidays will be added for the second half of the year. The first one will be for the upcoming Korean Liberation Day in August, which falls on a Sunday. There will also be one each for National Foundation Day and Hangul Day in October, as well as one for Christmas. Up until now, alternative days off were only given for Lunar New Year's Day, Korea's Thanksgiving holiday, Chuseok, and Children's Day in case they fall on weekends. However, the law will not be applied to businesses with fewer than 5 employees, prompting controversy among some workers who will not benefit from the law. The DP previously explained those businesses have been excluded to avoid any conflict with the labor law that doesn't provide paid leave for such workplaces. Despite bringing just a few extra days off, the ruling DP says the alternative holiday system is expected to generate some $14 billion in the local economy. Lee Kyung-eun, Arirang News.
South Korea's industrial production showed a slight increase last month, whereas consumption fell. Statistics Korea said Wednesday that the nation's overall industrial production index stood at 111.4 in May, up 0.1% from the previous month. This was mainly because public sector production soared as the vaccination campaign pushed forward. But the retail sales index, a measure of consumption, fell by 1.8% on month, recording the largest drop in 10 months. The statistics agency attributed the decline to the base effect as well as the rainy weather, which led to lower demand for summer clothes. President Moon Jae-in has unveiled an ambitious 5-year plan to make South Korea a leader in the global shipping industry. The goal is to boost South Korea's marine shipping capacity and almost double sales in the sector. Our Blue House correspondent Kim Min-ji reports.
South Korea plans to increase its marine shipping capacity and double its revenue to become a leading industry player. President Moon Jae-in on Tuesday unveiled the plan at the departure ceremony for a container vessel called Hanul, belonging to South Korean shipper HMM. The Hanul is the final ship in a batch of 20 ordered by HMM under the government's 5-year plan announced in 2018 to revitalize the shipping industry.
해운업 재건에 주동을 건 지 3년, 한국해양진흥공사 설립과 HMM이 신규 발주한 초대형 컨테이너선 20척을 계기로 우리 해운업이 기적같이 살아났습니다. 컨테이너 선박의 대형화와 함께 선박과 항만의 친환경 전환 가속화와 디지털화를 해운 산업 도약의 기회로 삼을 것입니다.
The Moon administration has been seeking to rebuild the shipping industry, which was hit hard in 2017, with the collapse of Hanjin Shipping, once the world's 7th largest shipper. By 2030, the government plans to raise annual sales to 70 trillion won, or about $61 billion. That's almost double the $31 billion in sales the industry posted last year. The government plans to boost marine shipping capacity to 1.5 million 20-foot equivalent units, or TEU, up from 780,000 in 2020. 1 TEU is equivalent to a 20-foot container.
We will also create a new support program of up to $3 billion through policy fund institutions so that local shippers can secure the vessels they need in a timely manner. And we will seek special tax treatment for investors. The government will also help launch new orders. For HMM, this will include 12 vessels greater than 13,000 TEU and joint orders for small and medium-sized shippers.
The government also plans to help local firms develop self-driving ships while investing over $220 million to develop eco-friendly vessels. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said a, quote, grave incident has happened in the regime's anti-virus efforts and that this could threaten the safety of his people. He accused senior officials of neglecting their duties and carrying out the measures needed to tackle the crisis. The North State media reported Wednesday that the leader presided over an extended Politburo meeting of the ruling Workers' Party the previous day to call for a party-wide fight against all kinds of negative factors. No details about the grave incident are yet known. The North has claimed to be virus-free since the pandemic broke out over a year ago. Delegates from 27 countries have exchanged views on the current state of the Korean Peninsula, with North Korea also present at Tuesday's virtual ASEAN Regional Forum meeting. South Korea's representative urged members to support efforts to denuclearize the peninsula and kickstart peace talks. The South Korean official also pledged that Seoul will contribute to a more prosperous Indo-Pacific alliance. Other topics included the pandemic, cybersecurity, the South China Sea, and Myanmar. In the center of Seoul, in Jong-un district, a great number of cultural assets dating back to the reign of King Sejong have been excavated. The discovery includes 1,600 metal movable types and various artifacts that are parts of clocks. Our Kim Bo-kyung shares with us the significance of the find.
Metal artifacts from the Joseon Dynasty have been found in an excavation by the Sudo Research Institute of Cultural Heritage in Insadong in Seoul's Jong-un district. The most noteworthy find are 1,600 metal movable types, 1,000 in Chinese and the rest in Hangul, the Korean alphabet. Before this discovery, the oldest collection of Hangul metal movable types made in 1455 only contained 30 pieces.
An important fact is that a great number of Hangul metal movable types that reflect the Dongguk Jong-un style orthography, which was only used in the 15th century when Hangul was invented, have been excavated.
Given that lots of types in various sizes have been found, and the research hasn't been done yet, experts are saying there is high chance that the types could be even older than those made in 1455. The Chinese metal types discovered in the excavation are believed to be from 1434, as they match the printing found in a book from that year. Also discovered was a chujeon, a key part of a water clock.
A Joseon is a device that is needed for the time signal device to work. It's very significant as this is the first time the artifact has been found.
The expert says the chujeon would be a part of one of the two automatic water clocks of the early Joseon Dynasty, 자경루 and 옥루. The 일성 정시의, an astronomical clock which used sun during the day and constellations at night, has also been found. It is said 4 of these were made during the era of King Sejong.
The water clock was a standard clock, and to correct its error, the astronomical clock was used. It is so sophisticated that 1/4 of a degree is measured and can reflect the extra day in a leap year.
Through this excavation, experts are hoping to understand the science and technology of the early Joseon Dynasty more deeply. Kim Bo-kyung, Arirang News.
Welcome. It's time for The World Now, bringing you some of the most interesting news from around the globe. I'm Ji-young. Western North America is on fire. With unprecedented temperatures being recorded, a scorching heat wave hit Western Canada and the Pacific Northwest in the U.S. Widely known for extremely cold winters, Canada made the headlines on Monday as the small community of Lytton in British Columbia saw the temperature soar to 47.9 degrees Celsius, the highest temperature ever recorded in the country. Lytton was not alone. Portland and Seattle also reached record highs, with the mercury climbing to almost 46.6 and 42 degrees Celsius respectively. Due to the sweltering heat, some 130 sudden deaths were reported in British Columbia. Also, light rail and streetcars were suspended, and some restaurants didn't open in Portland and Seattle. The world's tourism industry was in the doldrums amid the pandemic, and Thailand's was not much different. Drivers of Bangkok's 3-wheeled motorcycle tuk-tuks were hit hard as they didn't have much luck finding foreign visitors, with numbers falling by 85% in 2020. But recently, tuk-tuk drivers have found a new kind of passenger, K-pop stars, or photos of them at least. One of the drivers said he didn't know K-pop star Jessica Jung before the pandemic, but now the singer's local fans are helping him to make a living by placing her picture on the back of his rickshaw.
I mainly got a lot of foreign tourists before COVID. Thais don't take tuk-tuks. They normally choose taxis. Now, during the pandemic, ever since the K-pop fans came to us with their banners, more people have been stopping to take pictures, and more fans are choosing to take tuk-tuks.
He added K-pop fans pay the drivers about $20 per month to hang banners of their favorite celebrities. Without the banners, he said, they could only earn about $3 a day during the pandemic. Around 9,000 tuk-tuks are registered in Bangkok. It seems like a seal in Sweden didn't want to swim for a day or two. One stowaway seal was found on board a boat during a sailing regatta in Sweden, getting a free ride. The sailor said at first the seal looked content and relaxed as it basked in the sunshine. It was still there the next day, and the yachtsman began to worry as the animal looked lethargic. But after sending a video of the seal to a vet, the sailor was reassured that the animal was healthy.
Good morning. Unsettled weather pattern means we have more rain in the forecast on this last day of June. The central region and the Jeollado provinces could see 10 to 60 millimeters of rainfall through the evening. But when it does rain, we could see 40 millimeters an hour. Well, afternoon readings will be similar to yesterday, touching in the upper 20s. So Seoul and Daejeon will be getting up to 28 degrees Celsius. The belated monsoon season begins at the end of the week from the south. A monsoonal front is now in waters 500 kilometers south of Tokyo in Japan. Meanwhile, many weather experts are saying torrential rain could be a feature throughout this year's monsoon season. So the monsoon begins Friday from Jeju and Jeollanam-do province. The central region will see monsoon rain from the end of next week, but this weekend is forecast to be a wet one nationwide as well. Meanwhile, afternoon highs will rise to above 30 degrees Celsius here in the capital for the rest of the week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that will do it for us at this hour on Arirang News. We'll be back at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Korea's COVID-19 vaccination campaign is well underway, with the vaccination rate rising sharply.